Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am here. Garrett is there, the famous Woke Bay, and
Howdy.
we welcome in Derek Richards, comedian. Hey, buddy,
What's happening? How you
how
guys
you
doing?
doing, man?
I'm doing
I'm
great. I'm out here
I,
in Las Vegas right now. Just down
yeah,
the road, just up the road from you, I should say.
yeah, right. Yeah, you're probably not that far from me. What is that? About a 5-hour drive? 4.5?
Where you at? You in Phoenix?
Well, Scottsdale, so close.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny if you try and explain like a 5-hour drive as a short trip, you'd make the average European meltdown.
Oh, I know,
Why?
right? You can literally cross like 3 countries in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much here, but yeah, I've my brother used to meet me there when I'd fly in from Detroit to Vegas, and he would make that drive. I think he got to go over the Hoover Dam and from Phoenix. But yeah, man, I apologize, you guys. We are recording today. Usually we're live, and if people want to comment and whatnot, we can do that. But of course, I've had some internet connection issues. This is been a work in progress, dude, since I moved out here from Detroit and out of the studio. I'm stuck here dealing with an HOA before I can prop a real studio up and connection issues. So I apologize, Derek, but it's good to see you, buddy.
No, good to see you too. Is that how the HOA is getting back at you? They're messing with your
Yeah.
internet connection?
It's either they know who I voted for.
Just pay your dues, Mike. Just pay the
Right?
HOA dues and they'll stop messing with you.
Yeah, dude, it just proves a point I've had for the longest time, which is any power a human being is able to wield, they will wield it. I don't care if it's a homeless encampment. Someone has power in that homeless encampment and they're going to utilize it. You see it everywhere. And it's like these people get this little taste of power. And then it's like, so you want to throw some carpet in, do you? And it's like, we'll get back to you in 4 months. You're like,
Yeah.
It's the worst. They are just. I mean, it is literally everyone who had their lunch money taken away from them in elementary school.
yeah.
Decided to get in the HOA and get back at everybody that ever wronged them.
Yeah, and it's just like everything else. Like it's rooted in meaning well. Like, hey, can't we all agree as a neighborhood we don't want Fred Sanford setting up his front yard to look like a garbage dump? And everyone's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have a board to tell them no in that. But then it turns into this where it's like, wow, I noticed you got a new basketball hoop. Can we be assholes about it? And you're like,
Yeah.
really? I've never dealt with one before, and I get it, but it's just I don't know what it is with humans and wielding power. We have to do it. People are suggesting I should run for local HOA, and I'm like, yeah,
That'd be
this
fun.
requires work. And I don't.
Why not?
You can get on there. I mean that they'll stop messing with you. At least
Yeah,
then you gotta vote.
Dude, I've talked many times on the show. I'd be a terrible cop. I'd shoot everybody. Everybody that gave me lip, I'd shoot. So Officer Walters
You'd be the
would
guy going up and down the street like, I don't like that fucking shade of blue. You need to paint your house.
Yeah, no,
Done.
dude. No, I would be the worst cop, admittedly. I'd shoot everybody. I'd take advantage of my power for sure.
You would be the new Derek Chauvin of the HOA.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You would
for
just
sure.
totally George Floyd anybody in the neighborhood that would screw you over.
And not for dragging this out for 45 minutes in an argument for like looking at me cross. Did you give me the stink eye, sir?
Yeah.
I'd pull guns on everybody. I'd at a minimum taser everybody. I'd be the worst cop ever. I admit it though. But if I was running an HOA before it finished their request hitting my inbox, I'd green light it.
Okay.
I'd just green light everything. Let's go. There's too much bureaucracy in this country. We're green lighting everything. Let's go. We got shit to do. So
I like it.
Yeah, I think we get some stuff done.
I'll move in your
You should
neighborhood.
run. Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee I'd have the most popular neighborhood in town. I'd be the HOA president. Be great.
I'd
all the
move in
monsters
to
with
lower
you.
the property value, but
Maybe.
take the good with the bad.
Hey,
That's
risk
when I
I'm
get
willing
there.
to deal with. Risk I'm willing to deal with. Honestly, it is. I'm willing to roll those dice. If property values go down because of my leadership, then that's on me. I'll take that. Anyway, it's good to see you, buddy. I feel like I've known you for years and years and years because, I've been going to Ridley's Comedy Club forever, and I feel like you've middled for some of the biggest acts that have gone through there. Am I mistaken about that?
Yeah, I've featured there. I've headlined over there. Last time I was
Yeah.
there was last summer with not this past summer, but the one before that with Dave Landau.
Yeah. And
And I was
Dave's
over
all,
there, and I don't know if you had been, I don't know if you were there that particular week or not. I wonder because I met so many people, some friends of Dave's that
yeah.
came backstage and then hung out after the show and stuff like that. So,
But
did you
you've
pop in
been,
out there during that
yeah,
time?
for one of his shows, but
Okay,
I may not have come up and said anything. But I mean, even years ago when I was with the Drew and Mike show, I
right.
feel like headliners over the year. Am I mistaken about that? Maybe it was Greg Giraldo or Dave Attell. I feel like Newberg did a lot of those slots, and I
Hmm.
feel like I've seen you do a lot of those slots too.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been around the Detroit area for a long time. I mean, I spent the past 12 years in Vegas, and I was down in South Florida for 10 years before that. But yeah, I started in Michigan on the west side of the state over in Kalamazoo.
Oh, okay. I did some radio out there. Really
Okay.
bad radio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in radio too for 8 years before I did this. So I was
Really?
yeah, I was at RKR in Kalamazoo,
Okay.
the rock station over there. I was in Lansing at
Who
Q106
who was your
for a
morning
few years.
guy? That wasn't where
Uh,
Tim
Mike
Barron was.
McKelly. No, well Tim Barron was at Q106 in Lansing. So yeah, he was
Yeah.
the morning guy when I was working over there.
Okay. Q106 was a sister station. I was at the Edge in Lansing
Okay.
and then another Edge in Kalamazoo um for a while. And I want to say maybe it was Lansing I'm thinking of because Dave the Beagle was my partner,
Okay.
who's kind of a big name there in the Lansing market. He's done everything. But what did you do in radio?
So I was on air, did afternoons, did promotions,
Yeah.
and then I got fired from my last full-time radio gig because that's the way that business works.
Yep. Well,
And that was
you know what the saying is, right? Your radio career hasn't started until you get fired.
yes,
So,
exactly. Which
yeah.
is funny because then my career then technically started and then ended at that point because it was right around the time when everything was going to the tank as far as radio was concerned. It's when the FCC released all those regulations when anybody could
Yep.
buy whatever they wanted, and you had the monster conglomerates coming in
Yeah.
there, your Cumulus, your Clear Channels, and your
Yep.
iHeart Radios and that. So yeah, it was I was happy to escape it.
Yeah, we took a lot of pride at Riff being they used to brag about being one of the last mom and pops in the country, and by that, Greater Media owned it at the time before it might be Beasley Media now, but
Yeah.
Greater Media owned, a handful of newspapers in Philadelphia and Boston, and then radio stations in a handful of markets. But,
Right.
believe it or not, young people wouldn't even know. Like that used to be the landscape that you had dozens and dozens of these companies that kind of had, and they cared about their talent. It was common to have meetings with the ownership and family run and stuff like that. Where now it is so a number. It's why you see the corruption you do in the media, where you get the same. There's really no personality in it. It's just kind of all the same messaging. It's creepy and weird. It's on its last leg, in my opinion. I've thought that for a decade. Um,
Well, it's
even
so bizarre because now you go into, the competition used to be across town. Now it's 3 doors down the hallway.
dude, hundred
And it's
percent.
so bizarre. And now you have, you get fired or you want to leave or you want to get more money. You can't go to the competition and say, hey,
Yeah,
I want to raise because you're
yeah,
talking to the same dude.
dude.
And it's a nightmare.
Yep.
It's
That's
horrible.
so
I feel
true.
so bad for some friends of mine that are still in radio.
Yeah, I know.
And
I have a lot of them. I've worked in radio
yeah,
for 20 years. I have a ton of friends that in big markets and hanging on. And I get it. People that get into that type of work, you know, uh, absolutely love it. It's not like taking a job at a box store or something where you're, like if you get into something like that, you love doing it. You have a real passion for it. It's got to be really hard to let that go.
well, it's tough. I mean, because now you see so many people that were on air personalities are now doing sales as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
doing and voice tracking slots at other stations, and it's just more and more and more work being piled on,
Yeah.
and the salary is not commensurate to the to the work that you have to do
No,
by
not
a
even
long
close.
shot.
You know what's funny about that? When I was in Kalamazoo, like you'd work your way up. Like I interned at Riff and then went to Lansing and Kalamazoo and then came back to Riff and it was like going to the big leagues. Like, but in those smaller or medium markets, and Lansing's a good market. It's like at the time it was 99 market size
Right.
in the country. So, and Kalamazoo was probably not that much further down, but that's where you'd get where, your afternoon guy was also your production guy or worked marketing and stuff like that. And then you get to, a major market, a top 6 market in the country. And it's like, now there's a department that handles that, a department that handles that. But I remember being the morning guy when I was brought in Kalamazoo, and it was like you had a sales team, and you had a marketing team, and you had a production team. By the time I left there, we were the last crew in there. There was a program director, Bill Walters, no relation, and Mike and the Beagle in the mornings, and then they'd automated everything else. I think there was maybe one sales guy, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, holy shit, this is brutal, and it was, you're syndicating Ryan Seacrest in the middle of the night doing a top 40 show, and you're like, oh, this just
I
sucks,
remember,
man.
I will never forget this when satellite radio came about, and everybody was saying, "Oh, who's going to pay for radio? No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere." And then it was just watching the Hindenburg just crash.
Yeah. And now with the internet, it's a lost, I don't know. I don't know how it is for comics. Maybe you guys have always felt this way. Like, I used to get really frustrated. I understand it, but I used to be like, I worked really hard to make your way, and you had to deliver, or you didn't have a fucking gig. I mean, other people's salaries depended on the Drew and Mike show doing well and stuff. And now, I used to say any fucking kid with a $20 microphone and an internet connection is doing this line of work. Like, that doesn't exist for doctors, lawyers, engineers, but these like weird kind of art jobs, but you've probably always dealt with that. Like, any kid can take an open mic gig and start.
Well, and now you just see, and certainly that, but I mean, even now, just with the advent of, people, putting detergent pods up their ass on TikTok.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start gaining a monster following of just, doing stupid shit online.
Yeah.
And whether it's on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, platform is out there. And then at the end of the day, I mean, comedy clubs and venues just want to sell tickets.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about the level of talent that's coming through. I mean, they do. Some purists are still, hey, we actually want legit talent to come in here. But a lot of the places are more than happy sticking, some knucklehead coming through the door, and they'll put them on a door deal on a Wednesday or a Thursday night, which is good. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, there's plenty of clubs that would, you're going to bring in those people that are there to see that particular act.
Right.
And if they're filling a club on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, God bless them. Make all the money you can.
Well, we should mention, by the way, a lot of people you may see Derek on Normal World, with our good friend Dave Landau, who will be here tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Dave's the best, and I've done Normal World
So nice
a couple of times out there in Dallas. It's always a blast with them. Underrated on that show is Angela, in my opinion. She's a fucking she's a beast, man. She's quick. She's really, really talented. No shot at Garrett and
Mike just has
Dave,
a crush. That's all right.
No, I don't know. I don't really have a crush, but I remember sitting in that chair thinking, God damn, man, she's good.
She's a really good actress too. In all the sketches that she does, I mean, she absolutely crushes it. And she's a sweetheart. So she's great.
Yeah, she really is. I thought the same thing watching the sketches for the Halloween sketch episode. Fantastic. And that stood out to me too. Like, they're all really good at this. There's some talented actors in this room for real.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun putting that stuff together. It always is. I mean, Dave's a great writer and a great performer, and Matt McClowry, who's a writer on the show too.
Yeah, I've been liking his work a lot.
Does a great job. Yeah, Matt is so funny. So his stand-up is great, and his writing is just so tight on the sketches, and it's just it's fun to be a part of something like that when you see everybody's efforts coming together, and we're like, hey, let's do this. Let's make some funny shit, and and it works out well. Everyone's on the same page.
I think I saw. Did they have you playing Tim Walz?
Oh yeah,
It's a good Tim Walz.
Yeah, like
well, I know. I know, right? Well, here's the funny thing was how that whole thing even started. Somebody had tagged Normal World and tagged myself and Dave, and they did a side by side of me and Tim Walz.
yeah.
They did a picture and they go, "Tell me Derek has to play Tim Walz at some point." And I look at the picture and I'm like, "Fuck,
Yeah,
God,
I've done that.
I look like this douchebag." And so I texted Dave. I go and I sent him the clip that the guy had posted online, and he's like, "Oh," Dave's like, "Oh yeah, absolutely."
Yeah.
And so makeup went
Hilarious.
ahead and added the eyebrows, and we found the glasses and everything, and that was Angela's doing too, as far as the wardrobe and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it was something that had a nice amount of life to it, which was
What do you do for that? Because when I went there, we did one sketch, and it was like it was really quick. It was a slap game they were doing where
Right.
Dave would slap a woman and then he'd come, and that was the whole joke. And so
that's on brand.
yeah, it really is on brand. And so it was literally just like throw on a football jersey and then it's competitive slap fighting, and
Right.
Dave comes his pants as soon as he hits a woman.
Right.
And then she slaps me, and then I immediately take offense and smack the shit out of her, and she's bleeding out the mouth. So it was a funny bit.
I like it.
So I'm
I
kind of
like it
standing
too. I didn't see that one. I usually see all of them. I got to go back and take a look.
It was a quick snippet, but it was really funny, and it was cool to see like how that works, inside the soundstage where it's just like pick a spot, let's film this.
Yeah.
And Ken filmed it, and it was really kind of quick. Some of the ones I've seen, if you're doing the Tim Walz one like that, there's a lot more prep that goes into that. So what is like, do you know, like a couple days in advance, okay, we're doing this, I have to memorize lines? Like ours was kind of improv, and the joke was a quick hitter because Dave's going to come really quick, and then that's the joke. And whereas if you're getting into character and putting on glasses, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of logistics that go into that. I mean, they got to set everything up with the makeup department, and then they have to, gather wardrobe and do all that stuff. And so, yeah, I'll get the script ahead of time, and then what I would do is I would go back and watch some of Tim Walz's speeches.
Yeah,
and try to mimic as best I could his Minnesota accent.
Yeah,
and incorporate it into the sketch. So, yeah, I'll get it. A day ahead of time, or then there'll be like even updates within a couple hours or that day. And, Dave or Angela will hand me a script and say, "Hey, Dave added a couple things."
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's exciting. It's great to do because I know the cool thing with this is that I know when I'm getting the script, I know it's going to be something good.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that I've looked at that I went, yeah, no, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
But then the cool thing is when you look at something with the crew that they have over there at Normal World with Dave and Matt and the rest of the crew, if you think of something that is going to benefit, is going to add on to it, you go, hey, how about we add this too? And so we'll try to read it a couple different ways and then see what ends up working. So,
dude,
it's great to have that collaborative effort.
It's so funny you say that because I've worked with different writers over the years. Drew is really, really good. Like Cliff Notes Theater, like there's a mastery to writing a script that doesn't go too long, that is really tight, hits and continues to hit, never dies down and comes back. Like it's hard to do. And a lot of those guys get really competitive with their stuff. Drew was always good, but I've seen people that are like, no, my script, this way. Like I noticed that right away. Like in one of the ones last time I was in Dallas, they were filming one of the sketches for where Dr. Steve is on the monitor, and was and doing these quick hitters with Halloween characters like Pinhead from Hellraiser. Dave was playing. Well,
I remember that.
So that one there, they were filming, and I'm trying to stay out of the way. I'm not in the sketch or anything, and it's just like I'm just kind of hanging out. And Dave's in the costume and going through stuff. And within 5 minutes, it's like, hey, Dave, there's a waterbed joke in here. There's a pin dick joke in here. And he's like, he's taking it all in and reworking stuff, adding stuff. I don't even know if any of it got used, but Ken was throwing stuff out. I threw a couple things out, and I know I'm like tempered about it. Like, I don't want to say something, but I've known Dave for many years, so I know how cool he is. But it really feels like a collaborative, like Inside Baseball, that the end of the show, when was it End of the World?
Yes.
Like they'll give you there's a line on there. Like if you want to be lazy, there's a line that'll be at least a couple times I've been there, but they are totally cool if you want to just discard that and add your own.
Oh yeah, that's the best part about it. Like I said, it's so much fun to do the show, and it's just a great experience altogether. And Dave is so humble. I mean, he's the first one that he's so talented, but he's not such a hardline, piece of shit saying, hey, this is exactly how we're doing this.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, fuck off. It's like you can suggest things, and if it's good, we'll go ahead and roll with it.
Well, it's really cool. And what you have, what's that, Garrett?
I said that's good. I found that slap fight bit.
Oh, did you? Yeah, play it real quick.
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well. You can see my terrible acting skills.
Wow.
Slappers. Go for it.
Angela, I don't want to do this.
No, it's okay. I'm a professional slap fighter, so I'm good to go.
No, I'm not going to hit you.
No, we're equal. It's fine. Hit me.
All right.
Okay.
I don't feel good about that at all.
What, did you just
I'll be back.
come? Did you come? Did that guy come?
Next slapper, prepare.
Bitch!
You all right?
Oh my God, are you okay? Wait,
I can't see.
And he comes again.
Is he coming again?
Fatality.
So yeah,
That's such a good one.
the best part is Angela, when Dave and I are sitting there talking about it, she's like, Mike, hit me. And I was like, I'm literally not hitting a chick. She's like, no. She's like, make it real and get me. And she's like, really fucking hit me. And I'm like, I don't think I can hit a woman, dude. And she's like, no, for real, that you have to hit me. And I nicked her nose with my pinky as I went by. It's a terrible fake slap, but she's all in.
The comedy was delivered. That's all that needed to be delivered in that slap.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. It's so fun. It's weird to me because this space it always existed for kind of going for it comedy, it's too bad that SNL has gotten as bad as it has, where it's like you wouldn't dare come up with a bit where someone comes in their pants for hitting a woman and bring that to SNL. It's cool that exists in this space, where normal world, what they're doing right now.
Well, it's great to have it out there. I mean, and I feel bad for the SNL cast, because anybody who would be chosen to be an SNL cast member, I mean, you've got to have the chops behind you to do that. And I feel horrible, for some of these people that are very, very funny, but are just given these hyper woke filtered scripts for their sketches, and then you see somebody that comes on there like Bill Burr, who does his monologue.
Yeah,
like the last one that he caught all kinds of shit for.
Yeah,
just I think like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, what was
hilarious.
What was his crime? What was his crime again on that one?
I think it was him talking about how Kamala lost.
Oh yeah,
that's what it was. He's like, ladies, you're 0 for 2 against this guy.
Yeah,
stop wearing the pantsuit. Whore it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
he says, he said, don't go. What did he say? He says, don't go full on Hooters. He goes, go across between Applebee's and Why Did My Dad Leave Me or something like
Yes.
that.
That's pretty
Hilarious.
good.
But
Yeah.
it was, and I'm totally screwing up the bit, but it was so fucking funny. I mean, I was
Yeah.
cracking up. I'm like, it's Bill Burr.
Yeah.
You're inviting him to come on, and then you're going to go ahead and chastise him for doing exactly what he does all the time.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of weird. It is kind of weird where there's certain guys that get to a level where it's like the South Park effect, where it's like, well, you're not South Park. You can't do it. And it's like, yeah, but they're doing it. What do you mean someone
Yeah.
else can't push the envelope? Like South Park's success speaks for itself. Bill Burr's success speaks for itself. Like, like, oh, Bill Burr can get away with that where other people can't. And I always think bullshit. I mean, why would you want one Bill Burr when you could potentially have many more?
Well, and there were so many people that are, that were bitching about him. Even the sketch or the monologue that he did, which was probably just over a year ago when he was on SNL.
Yeah,
And
sounds about right.
And that got all picked apart too.
Yeah.
But I also think it goes back to, and you go back and you think of the times when SNL, when we all say when it was great years ago.
Yeah,
We also
Yeah.
didn't have the internet. We also didn't have
right.
a tool for every jackass on the planet to go in their den or their basement or hop on their phone and make some douchey comment.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
like, it was out there on NBC. It was out there.
yeah.
Done.
Well,
There was no other conversation other than like the three of us getting together for a beer.
Yeah.
Or at work on Monday going, oh, did you watch SNL? Did you see that sketch they did with Belushi and Aykroyd and blah, blah, blah. And that was how, your criticisms and compliments were passed on to each other. It wasn't thrown up on, some big chat board.
Yeah,
with a
no,
bunch
it would
of,
if
feminists and, hypersensitive, assholes.
Yeah. Well, what you would get is like an opinion piece in the New York Times, and they'd be some stuff shirt that would go, "We found Bill Burr tasteless and offensive and blah blah blah," and then the rest of us would laugh at how fucking what a bunch of pussies. Really, Bill Burr broke your heart doing a monologue, and like that's the extent. But you're totally right. Now everybody feels the need to make a comment, and we're probably all guilty of it too on some level. Like we all have this alleyway to go, well, I didn't like it because of this, or did you notice that? And you're just picking these people apart to death. They do it to you, I'm sure. Certainly people do it to me. You see it where everybody feels entitled to. It's like, hey man, we're all trying to just make people laugh, entertain people a little bit, inform people a little bit, maybe give a different perspective. That's all. No one's trying to ruin your fucking day, Well,
and I think too, when it becomes where you post something online, you're like, not my thing.
Yeah.
But then you move on with your day.
Yeah.
As opposed to so many other people that then throw that out there and then auger in and then start going after, like they'll start tagging, they see a comedian that does something that they feel is inappropriate. And then they start tagging the comedy clubs that they have coming up. How can you hire this piece of shit?
Yeah. Oh.
Or even in the case of Chad Prather, who was on Blaze TV. And Chad does his own thing now. He has his own podcast down in Houston. But Chad goes out and does comedy clubs. And he did some TikTok thing where he was making fun of Kamala Harris's, her accents that she would switch to based on her surroundings.
Yeah.
And then somebody went ahead and, again, that whole cancel culture group went after him, contacted a comedy club that he was working in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And said, hey, this is inappropriate. We think this is wrong. This is, they said he was, racist. They said that he was sexist, all that bullshit. And then the club went ahead and canceled him.
Yeah.
So, it's not like you can't just go ahead and make the comment on TikTok and move on with your life. Now you want to sit there and go after somebody's livelihood.
Yeah.
And
that's scary, man.
And that's what I have a problem with.
Well, you know what the trouble is too? I know there's certain guys like Andrew Schultz on his podcast had Trump on.
Yeah.
And with like an hour after that posted, the club canceled where he was filming his special, by the way.
Theater
canceled.
Yeah.
And the whole thing happened with Metzger and a handful of guys at Oregon or Washington or something where a theater canceled. And those guys all took the approach of, hey man, whatever. And I understand that argument from them because it doesn't matter to Kurt Metzger. That's great. If Kurt Metzger makes headlines nationally because some woke club canceled him, or Andrew Schultz, doesn't matter. But it does matter to smaller comics who see that and go, I got to watch what I'm saying. Because if they get canceled from a show, that can directly affect their ability to pay the bills or, stuff like that. So I don't worry about Andrew Schultz or, it's good for them just getting the press. But, you worry about no, I want these guys. I want my comics. I think they serve such an important part in society. And that goes through history, whether you're talking about Carlin or, these guys put their spin on society over the years that opened discussion for the rest of us. And they did it in such an entertaining way that we all went, yeah. I mean, the 7 dirty words rules is out of thin air from George Carlin. That's out of thin air from a comedian.
Yeah.
That the guidelines that are, we're subject to if you're on broadcast networks today, that came out of a comedian on stage. I don't want those guys ever going, well, this joke is, I'm going hard in the paint on this one, but is it worth it? I don't want to go there because some idiot in the crowd might be offended and now my next gig's canceled.
Yeah, you never know. And I think there was a great line that who was a comedian, Chad Daniels, had said. And he said, you don't get canceled. All you do is shift your audience base.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is true. And I'm like, you know what? Listen, if someone gets pissed off at a show that I do, if you're at a comedy club and you can't understand what the person is saying on stage isn't just there for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah.
Then offense isn't, and I heard this from somebody one time, it said offense isn't given, offense is received.
Yeah. Yeah. Offense is taken.
You can have 200 people in a crowd and I say something that's, a little over the line and 2 people get up and walk out.
Yeah.
The offense was received by them. It wasn't given by me because 198 people here are laughing their ass off, having a great time.
Right.
So how it was interpreted to them is the offensive part. And then they get up and, and go ahead and walk out the door. So,
well, I know, do you know Eric Fady?
I do not.
You don't know Big E? He was on my show forever. He's actually very funny. He's done some spots and at Ridley's. He does but he's awkward as shit. And I remember him coming in when he would do, he'd make it to the finals on some, contest comedy thing. He won the contest up in Mackinac. He doesn't do it that often, but he's good. He's different than anyone you've ever seen. He's got horrible stories, much like Landau, about hooker experiences or getting shit-faced and passing out somewhere.
Don't downplay it. He bought a hooker with a TV.
Yeah.
That's just the perfect teaser.
He's no bullshit. But Eric would come in and be like, dude, I don't know what's going on with these comedians. Like, I'm at this, whatever, name the club in Michigan. And it's like, there's the comedians all have this attitude. Like they all think the same way politically. And you don't touch this subject. You wouldn't dare go up there and be like, I don't know, this Trump guy's making some sense. Like you'd be booed off the stage. And it's like, is that really going on? And this is a few years ago, so maybe that's changed. But it's like, holy shit, if you're grooming the new generation of comics to fall in line with the popular speak of the day, that's horrifying to me.
No, it really is. And I mean, I think it goes back to just some of the certain areas of where these clubs are located. Like when you look back at that club that was up in Seattle, if you guys recall when Jim Florentine had gotten canceled on a date up there. And I think
that was the Metzger one too. That was the Metzger one I was talking about.
Oh, was that it? Okay.
It was Kurt and Florentine and 2 others. I can't remember the 2 others.
Yeah, they just said that, hey, we don't think this is going to end up, being a good fit for us. Which, and even Florentine, to his credit, went on Normal World and was talking to Dave about that. And he said, listen, I'd rather have him tell me now than I get there and all these assholes are going to hate me. So, I mean, to his credit, he's like, listen, I don't give a shit. He goes, fine, cancel me.
Yeah.
whatever. But to your point earlier, where you have, younger comics that are in this and they're like freaking out over what they could possibly say that's going to offend somebody. I mean, that's just, and they're fearing that every gig that they have could collapse because they happen to make a comment like you said, hey, this Trump guy makes sense.
Yeah, right. And it's part of this whole culture that I think died a few Tuesdays ago. I think it's on its way out, which is encouraging. I was very worried for a while there that, but I don't know if I have talked to some comedians who tell me, hey, in my experience, you go to these clubs and it's hassle free. You can do whatever you want. And so I understand also how the media works. And it's like, find that one creepy club in Seattle and act like that's the norm for everybody, every club.
Right.
Do you find that most clubs are like, hey man, go do you, make them laugh and buy drinks?
No, exactly. I mean, you go ahead and as a comic, you're sending off there's so much material out there that you send when you're trying to get work at a certain place.
Yeah.
And, if they don't watch it, then, then it's on them. I mean, there was a great story that I wanted to tell you here in Vegas at the MGM. I was working out here with Landau at Brad Garrett's club.
Yeah. I hear that place is awesome.
Oh, it's a fantastic club.
Yeah.
And so we're here during rodeo week, and the MGM is the host hotel for the rodeo people.
So you got a lot of alternative people.
It's Montana, Colorado,
Yep.
Wyoming, Texas, Oklahoma, that whole, it's a bunch of good old boys.
Yeah.
And so they come to the comedy show, and Dave was booked. He was headlining that week. And I was on the bill also with Dave. And, Dave has, his jokes are so tight and so funny and so dark.
Yep.
But he goes up and tells 3 jokes that I've seen absolutely crush every single time. And all 3 of them laid there in front of a room full of cowboys that had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
And so Dave's on stage. He crosses his arms. He looks at the crowd and he goes, you guys could have Googled me on the way in. And myself and the manager of the club were in the back of the room, falling on the floor, laughing our balls off. It was so damn funny. But I think that goes to it as well. I mean, you guys, if you're going to go see a band that you haven't heard of, I mean, Garrett, say you tell Mike, you're like, hey, we're going to go see so-and-so. You're like, oh, I'm not familiar with them. Go online, pop it up. And you're like, oh, hey, cool. They sound like whomever. Yeah, they sound like the Foo Fighters. I could, I'll go. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But if they're playing some, country ska mix, you're like, that's not my thing. Enjoy.
I'd still go. To see it.
Just to see it, go for it.
Yeah.
One of those people, though.
But there's so much that falls on the responsibility of the consumer. It's like, take 2 seconds. You're going to go online and look at Yelp and TripAdvisor reviews and Google reviews on a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Why would you not take that time and do your due diligence when you're going to go spend, 30, 40, 50 bucks on a ticket to come see a comedy show in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like, I've seen Landau so many times. I've never seen one of his jokes not work. Like, he's just a home run hitter. He gets on stage and and it's funny. And I've told Dave this, that when I first saw him, he was still able to tell those just childhood stories. Right. Like, that's how I first met him. And it's like, and I remember thinking at the time, like, what is this guy going to be able to do next? Because at some point, these stories are out there. He can't make new ones, especially as someone who's not drinking, not doing drugs. Right. Can he go? And I saw him, the next time I saw him, which is years ago now, it was like, oh no, he's a fucking he's a beast. He's just a flat out beast. Yeah. I mean, just boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to think of what he could have even said that people would be sitting on their hands and acting like. I've never seen it.
He had a pretty funny one last time I saw him in the summer where he looked directly at my trans partner and told his joke about Teslas being trans cars because they're computers that think they're cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
looking directly at her. Like, he made sure to make contact. It's perfect.
Yeah.
No, I feel like that's the one time people would be like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, here's what's funny, especially here in Las Vegas, because you get such a diverse audience. You get people that are coming to the shows that are not necessarily comedy club fans. And I mean, there's some fantastic clubs out here. There's Brad Garrett's club where I'm at actually here this week.
Yeah.
The Comedy Cellar is a good club too, over at the Rio. I mean, those are my two favorites here in town.
So were you living there, Derek, or are you just commuting there?
Well, I was living out here for about 12 years, and
Yeah.
I just left and moved back to Michigan a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I was out here. You know, the Laugh Factory was at the Tropicana. The Tropicana is now bulldozed. I went walking outside today to, take a walk. I'm like, oh wow, that's where the big asbestos pile is.
Yeah. Well, it's such a unique town in that I've seen multiple acts in Vegas that I never would have seen. Like we've done a few shows out in Vegas, especially on the Drew and Mike show. We'd go out for a Pearl Jam concert, and you're there for 4 days or whatever, and it's like, let's go see Damon Wayans tonight, or let's go see Tom Jones, tomorrow night. And so I've done those things. I've seen Wayne Newton.
Sure.
It's like,
oh yeah, I saw Wayne too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wayne and they're great.
Yeah.
They really are entertaining to go to those shows. It's like, this is a long gone past, but I saw Wayne Newton, and he's up there hamming it up on a stage. It's such a unique town.
Yeah, you got to see, if you're going to come here, you got to see Wayne Newton at some juncture. But
Mr.
I mean,
Las Vegas.
He's Mr. Las Vegas. I mean, you got to see him. But I think what happens with the comedy club situation is that people are that's why you can have comedy clubs right across the street from each other here in town, because people you literally had the MGM Grand and the Tropicana was right across the street, and the Laugh Factory was right there, and Brad Garrett's club is right here.
Yeah.
And both clubs can do fine and survive because people that are staying at the Trop are going to go and, hey, let's go see the show over here.
Yeah.
You don't need to go across the street.
Yeah.
People at the MGM are going to say, hey, we'll stay here. And the thing is, you have people that get in on casino comps, people that just say, oh, hey, there's a comedy show. Oh, that's the guy from Everybody Loves Raymond. Robert was really funny. So we should go see the show. And they don't do any research at all as to who the act is that's in there.
Yeah.
Whether it's somebody like, Dave, or myself, or somebody who is very, family friendly.
Yeah. Well, you filmed your latest special at Brad Garrett's place, which I'm not bullshitting you. I've heard from everyone how unbelievable that club is. And I don't know, I know Ridley's is amazing and super well respected by comics themselves. They talk about, it's not just a club like anywhere else. Like Mark is really special. Brad would get it. He's been a successful comic. But what was it like filming the new special there?
It was great. We shot it back at the end of June and recorded for, an entire week and just had a ball. I mean, a buddy of mine who's one of the managers over there, who did the filming and then also the editing for it. He edits a bunch of stuff for 800 Pound Gorilla, which is great. But it's just a great vibe. It's a great family. You're talking about the radio stations from years ago that had that fun mom and pop vibe where it was a family friendly kind of an environment. Yeah. That's what this club is.
Yeah.
And you go in there and there's a bunch of the, Brad's, nephews and his godson. I mean, they run the place, and it's just you walk in there and you instantly feel at home.
Yeah.
And they do everything they can to make the guests feel, welcome. Like you're literally walking into somebody's house.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And it's just a great energy. And you can't replicate that anywhere. That's gotta be genuine. That's not something that you can just put in a manual and talk about it at a company outing. This is shit that comes from hiring the right people and getting the right mix involved there. And Brad's a comic, and and he gets it.
Yeah,
he knows what it's like to be on the road. He knows that his pay is fantastic. He knows how to take care of people. That's why everybody wants to work here.
I'm always impressed to hear that. I think that's what's going on with the Mothership, Rogan's Club, where we're building this for comics. It's not about how can I fuck these guys over, put them in the biggest roach motel on planet Earth, and then fight with them about pay at the end of the night. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, as someone who's been a road dog for a lot of years, you've probably seen the worst of it and the best of it.
Oh my God, there was I mean, like I said, this place here is top flight. But I've seen venues, like I was living in South Florida for years, and there were a couple of venues down in South Florida. There was one in Miami, and there was one in West Palm Beach, and they had, any comic that came in that had percentages coming to them based on ticket sales. They had the owners of the club had a link into the system and could pull up those numbers at home and fudge those numbers.
Oh,
So the comics would not get bonuses.
wow.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
pieces of shit. I'm not gonna say the club. I'm not gonna say who it was, but anybody out there any comic that's out there watching this,
Yeah.
or people that lived in South Florida will know know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. But just dick moves like that. I mean, everybody's trying so hard to try to get people to come in. You try to get your stuff out there. You try to put out a special. You try to get on Comedy Central or get on Rogan's podcast or anything to just build your brand. And then all of a sudden, now it's time for the rubber to meet the road.
Yeah.
And someone's going to be a piece of shit
Take advantage.
and try to and screw you.
And it almost seems like jumping over $1 to pick up a nickel, because it's one of those things where it's like later on, let's say that comic gets big, he's not doing your club anymore because you fucked him over.
Right.
So now you don't have this big name who can bring seats and people. You lost him.
There was do you remember comic Bobby Collins?
Bobby Collins.
I do not know.
He's been around forever. He was out of New York. I mean, funny dude. I mean, but he's been in the game for probably 40 plus years, 45 plus years, easily.
Yeah.
And he was playing at a club in Dearborn, Michigan.
Okay.
And he was there the week before, and he had a clicker because he had a door deal.
Oh, a door deal. Yeah.
And so the club owner came up to myself and the other comics that were on the show. He's like, "Oh yeah, we had Bobby Collins here last week." He goes, "The audacity of that asshole standing by the door with a clicker."
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's carrying a clicker because somebody fucked him.
Yeah. It's like, no, think
That's
a
someone who
little
got burned.
further along. This is probably years of being abused and learning what those tricks are to get to the point where you need to do this. Like, if you guys would have just been straight about the game all along, we wouldn't have to do this. When I can look out and see a full room of 200 people and you try to tell me that there were 50 paid for the night and pay me based on that. No.
So, no, we gave away a bunch of comp tickets.
Comps,
and so, that doesn't count. And it's like, no, that's just, you're right, Garrett, to your point. That's, you screw these guys over. And then they're going to go ahead and tell their management. And if it's somebody who's represented by a monster agency like a William Morris or Gersh or APA or CAA, I mean, you're just screwing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting as shit. Well, the new special, Normal World's back and behind it.
Yes.
When does it come out? And what does that mean that they're putting it out?
Well, it's great because, I mean, Dave and I have been good friends for years. He's been a big supporter of mine, and we've just been he's just one of those people that I always say, and I put that in the credits at the end of the special. I said, I put special thanks to Dave Lando. I said, great comic, better human.
Yeah. Yep.
He really is.
There's something. It's really cool when you see some guys like look after their circle. It's so easy to forget that stuff. I remember his last special. What was the Prison 10?
Prison 10, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm watching it. Unbeknownst to me, there's my name in the thanks. And I was like, is there another guy that spells their last name the way I do in there?
Right.
And Dave was like, no. I put it in there, man. You're a friend. And you've had me on your show a bunch. And it's just like, holy shit. I never would have thought about that in a second. It's like, he's like, I remember I was going out to New York and with my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, hey, I'd love to come by and say hi. He was doing the show with Anthony, and he got
Right.
back to me and was like, I talked to Ant. Why don't you be a guest on the show that day? It's like, what? Fucking have me in as a guest on the show? Holy shit.
Right.
Like, he's looking out for a lot of people. More people need to do that, you know?
No, I agree. And he doesn't look at he's not looking at people as competition. You know, it's like the
No.
old saying, the rising tides help all ships.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
but Dave got behind the special. I mean, Normal World, the show, bought the special and made it their presents. And so what they're doing is the special, which is called All In Live in Las Vegas, which was recorded here at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club,
Yep.
is going to come out on Black Friday on November 29th. It comes out, and it's going to be on Normal World's YouTube channel. So go to Normal World on
cool.
YouTube, and it's going to be on their channel for free
I got
Friday,
the,
Saturday,
promo here.
Sunday. Yeah, Friday,
you wanna
Saturday,
see
Sunday.
You want to watch the promo?
Go for it.
Right there.
I love this town. I do, man. Something always going on. They have the championship rodeo here in Vegas. Yeah, every year, huge. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Every time I hear Hoedown, I just think a Kardashian fell off some black guy's...
Perfect.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it does really well, man. And I watched it. It's great. And I think people will really enjoy it. And it's so funny what I notice in seeing comics when you're watching an open micer versus someone who's getting their feet about them and pro comics. It's all about the transition. It's all about the transition between topics, jokes, whatever it is. The mistake I see young comics make is they've played this out in their head. This is going to work. Everyone's going to laugh with me because they find it funny. And then it dies on stage and they don't know how to properly transition onto something else. And
Yeah.
that's when you lean on the crutches of like, oh,
Tough crowd.
tough crowd, or thought that was going to go different. You're like,
Yeah.
it's so funny. And it's like, I don't know how long it takes you guys to get there, but I notice it.
Well, I think like anything else, it's like it's like going to a driving range and
Yeah.
just hitting ball after ball after ball and getting up on stage, because so many guys will say that or comics will say, yeah, I've been doing this for 10, 12 years. Well, how often do you get up? I mean, technically, I've been golfing since I was 12 years old,
Right.
and my game sucks. A
Sucks.
huge dump truck full of dicks. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a horrible golfer, but technically, I've been playing for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
So, it's how often are you getting up? How many times are you getting on stage and getting a chance to, to work your craft?
Yeah.
And also, I think one of the things that kind of gets me is when you end up seeing, a younger act that comes to a show and they get a chance to do a guest spot and, go up and do, 5 to 7 minutes on a show that you're on. And then they go up there and they bomb,
Yeah.
or even if they do okay, then they grab their backpack of shitty jokes and their Starbucks cup and then just walk out the door. Now, I'm not such a narcissist where I'm like, hey, you got to sit here and watch what I'm doing. I go, but watch what the other acts are doing. The paid acts that are on the show. Watch the middle act. Watch the headliner.
Yeah.
And see what they're doing, because you learn. You
Yeah.
learn more when you shut up than when you're talking. And
Yeah.
just to go up there, and even if you watch somebody's act and you know what, I do not find anything that they did funny, but the audience was laughing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they resonated with the audience. They made that connection. You learn different tricks of the trade about how to navigate in and out of a joke that may or may not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Transitioning like you were talking about.
Yeah.
So,
It's all about the transition, It's tough for me because it's so hard for me to watch someone just eat shit on stage. Like, I get so uncomfortable watching people just absolutely eat shit.
you do? Oh my God.
Oh,
I get
Yeah. Comics love it.
Like Dave and the slapping thing. I come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Why
gonna say, I'm
is
kind
that?
of in
Why
that
do
second
you
camp.
comics all see that? You comics all love watching other comics absolutely eat shit on stage.
Because we've been there. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. I mean, we've all been in that situation. That's why, like I said, it was so funny watching on that particular show in Vegas, where Dave had 3 jokes that just laid there and did nothing.
Yeah.
Because I know he's hilarious. I know those jokes work every other single time that he's on stage.
Yeah.
And just at this point in time, in front of these people, they didn't give a fuck what came out of his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just hysterical. So when you see somebody who is so funny, who just goes up and tanked it on that, and that certainly wasn't the whole show. It was just 3 killer jokes
Yeah.
that I'm like, oh man, I go, this is,
This is a prize.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's fun to go up and see, and also too, it's also part of the learning process. You see friends of yours that are trying out new material, and you're like, all right, let's see how this is gonna, how this new joke's gonna go.
Yeah.
And they try something, and it bombs, and you're like, okay, I can see,
Yeah.
you're trying something new, and that's gonna happen.
Yeah. I recently saw, Paul Elia.
I've heard the name.
He's the main opener for Matt Rife.
Okay.
He's Matt Rife's guy, and he's a Detroit guy, and he's really good. And he came through Phoenix, and so I texted him, was like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna," and he's like, "Yeah, come on out," and I just sat there, and it was like I watched guy after guy after guy just eat shit, and then it's like, yeah, it's absolutely in your best interest to sit here and watch Paul do this, because this is fucking crazy to watch all you guys just, I don't know.
Now, these were acts that were opening up for Matt?
Yeah, they were just openers.
That were bombing in front.
Yeah.
Hard.
Hard.
Well, one thing too, and I will say this, there's some of these celebrity acts, and I'm not saying that that's, what Matt Rife did, but there's so many other acts that will bring their own opening act.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that they know that they can follow that person, because they're not gonna upstage them. And so that's the thing that's the thing that cracks me up when you see some of these celebrity acts bringing in somebody.
Is that my
that's not funny
connection?
at all.
Yeah, it's a little bit of yours, but we're doing okay. You came back a little bit. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Oh, you cursed it.
I did. I totally cursed it there.
We can just do the rest of the show ourselves, Garrett.
All right. Man, Mike had the questions going.
Fuck Mike.
All right.
Look at him. Look at him sitting there just frozen.
Just frozen.
It's like a wax character, like in that Liberty Mutual commercial.
Yeah, that one that melts.
Where it
I hate
melts,
that ad
exactly.
so much. I see it so often. I think that's why I hate it. You have Amazon Prime. You see that commercial every
I know,
every 2
right?
seconds.
I see the commercial a million times, and yet I know nobody that has Liberty Mutual insurance.
We got mail from them, and we don't even have their insurance. It's like, what is going on with that?
That is so bizarre. That is
They're
so funny.
it. All right, we got Mike
God
back.
damn it.
Oh, he's back.
I'm so sorry, you
Shit.
guys.
All right,
We
fun's
were
over.
having so much fun without you. Jeez.
Yeah, I bet. Put your pants back on, Garrett. Put your
Sorry.
pants back on.
All right.
No, this is my fear with this unstable shit. It's all a work in progress. I'm sorry, everybody. That
No, it was good. That was 2 seconds.
Yeah, I know. It's just it drives me.
I
out
just
of my mind.
commented that you looked like the wax figurine in the Liberty Mutual commercial because you just froze there.
And then I didn't start melting, did I?
Sort of. It was a little bit blurry. So we were just sitting there being douchebags.
Well, you know what? People can check that out on YouTube, Normal World's YouTube, Derek Richards' new special. And, it's a short week. It's kind of a wild week. And us from Detroit here, Garrett's gay, so he hates football. But you and I, Derek, I could tell by the hat that you're one after my own. Dude, has this been the fucking greatest year ever?
It's insane. I just, I want it to keep going. But, I've been a Lions fan my entire life.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I was joking around about is like, man, they started winning and I had to, ditch all my good jokes about the Lions. I'm like,
yeah, worth it.
I know, right? I will
I'll
gladly remove those jokes for the sake of a team that's looking as spectacular as they are right now. So yeah, I'm super, super excited about the whole, about the rest of the season. And they've been a punching bag for so long. It's just so great. It's like you're watching a movie where the chick gets beaten up the entire movie.
Yeah.
then at the end, like she just beats the fuck out of the asshole husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is now that scene in the movie. That is my Detroit Lions are that lady who's fighting back now.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, it happened so fast. I mean, you think back a couple of years ago to, this team's going to be biting kneecaps on the way up, like we're going to drown people in the ocean. You know what I mean? Like these
That
comments.
speech was so awesome.
It was awesome. But dude, as lifelong Lions fans, we were again mocked. The whole league was like, look at this fucking meathead former player talking shit. And then to see them struggle and the franchise not give up on them and be like, no, we're not going to do that knee-jerk reaction where we gut a guy because he's 1-6 or whatever.
Right.
Like so many franchises in the NFL have done, where you don't even really give the guy a chance to bring his guys in, bring a culture in, kind of change it. And to put up with that for a couple years, and then the second half of that third year, see them kind of put it together, beat the Packers in Lambeau, and not make the playoffs, didn't matter. You saw it. It was like, oh, shit. And then to have this team that's like not a good team, the best team in football.
Yeah.
Like it's out of this world.
I mean, just tearing people apart. It's so fun to watch. And I mean, I've got friends that are, they know I'm a Lions fan. And so for years, it's always been, the Lions get their ass kicked by the worst team in the league. And you're going, oh God. And I would just get, and here come the text messages, from all your shitty friends.
Yeah.
That have some kind of comment to make. And so now it's just fun to see, it's fun to get those texts coming in going, man, you beat the fuck out of the Cowboys. I'm like, you damn right we did.
And the best part is, like, most of these other teams are also so surprised that they're not really coming at us with anger. They're like, you know what? I think it's your turn.
Yeah.
So that's the sentiment I've gotten from a lot of other teams around the area.
Yeah, it really is. It's like no one, like you can hate the Patriots. You'll always hate the Patriots. You can hate the Cowboys. You can hate the Steelers and all these teams that have had success through the years. And so now when you see the Lions come through and they're having the season that they're having right now, it's like you can't help but kind of,
just give a pat on the back on their way up.
You're cheering for the retarded kid at the Special Olympics who's finally going to cross the line and not lick the referee, which is great.
Exactly.
Well, dude, I'm going to wrap this up. This is outrageous. I keep getting kicked out of my own show. So I'm so sorry about this. Derek, thank you so much. We'll do this again, dude. And hopefully,
love to, man, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, see, as we're saying the final goodbyes, he gets another disconnect.
So yeah, All In, live in Las Vegas, available on Normal World's channel on YouTube, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for free. And then it's going to go behind the Blaze TV paywall after that for their subscribers. So it is free. It is your Thanksgiving / early Christmas gift from Dave Landau, Normal World, and myself to you. Again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It is absolutely free on YouTube. And then after that, it goes behind the Blaze TV paywall. So yeah, All In, live in Las Vegas. Check it out. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely, Derek.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully we panel up on a Normal World episode soon. That'd be
we have to do that. That would be great. I would love that.
Yeah. Well, have a great one. Hopefully my connection issues are okay tomorrow. Dave Landau is supposed to be here, so that should be a lot of fun. Derek, thank you so much for the time. I'm sorry about the internet connection, buddy.
No worries at all, man. It happens. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Garrett. We'll hold the emails for tomorrow and
All right.
and stuff like that, and hold the videos as well. Maybe we can get into them with Dave tomorrow if we can get some stability here. Listeners, I'm sorry to put up with this, but thank you for the time, Derek, and we'll have a great Thanksgiving. Go Lions, buddy.
Absolutely,
and good luck.
man.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good one. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, take care. Happy Thanksgiving, and
brother.
we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, man. Anytime.
All right. See ya.